tell me if they can hear me. I've had to spend some time messing with the audio. Do we have volume? Yep. Excellent. Excellent. Sorry, y'all. I'm still getting better at doing this on my phone temporarily. How is everybody tonight? Hello. Well, happy birthday, Star Tribe. I didn't have any birthday candles, but you know, I got a bunch of spell candles in the dressing room. So happy birthday, everybody. Happy anniversary to us. It's been such a cool year. I'm so grateful that you're here. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Alicia. Hey, Sai. Hey, Jimmy. Jimmy, I added your other profile. Hi, Bethany. Hi, Christopher. Hey, Bunny. Who else is hanging out in here? Hi, Darcy. Welcome. Welcome. We'll let a few more people come in and then we'll get started. And I apologize for the vertical. I don't know why it wouldn't let me set to horizontal. I know a lot of you watch from your phone, and when I watch from my phone, I turn everything sideways. Hi, Just Me. Hi, Dusty. I'm so glad you could make it tonight, Zane. Hello. Hi, Bethany. You have a rave station streaming in the background. Perfect party music. Perfect party music. Hi, Daniel. Well, cool. Well, let's get this party started. Hi, Divine Torch. Hi, Phoenix. So glad you're all here tonight with me. Hi, Dungeon Crueler. Hi, Julie. I'm so glad you all are here. I'm pretty excited today. I'm pretty excited. This was an experiment, you know? And hi, Diane. And actually, just real quick before we get started, I've got the old grimoire out. I want to share with you the vision and mission statement that I wrote. I don't know, we were probably a couple months into the channel. It was whenever I decided, okay, I'm going to do this thing, and moved it to the first theater space. Hi, Jimmy. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. And so I really felt like I wanted to share that with you tonight before we started on the readings, because it's manifestation. It's a clear example of manifestation, which we talk about a lot on this channel. So let's do that first. Hey, Scorpio. Hi, so glad you're here. I didn't date it. I'm bad about dating things. But I wrote, the vision for this channel is a diverse and safe space where people can experience love and belonging on their personal journey of self-actualization and personal fulfillment. And I wrote, the mission of this channel is retrograde, a portal to imagination, encouraging self-expression, visionary insight, and exploration of nonverbal communication, empowering the one self to explore the depths of the mind, body, and soul, and allow others to do the same as a vehicle to the collective consciousness through creativity and the arts. And I think we have done an amazing job at manifesting that within this year. I'm so grateful that, like everything else in my life, this has been about quality over quantity. And there are so many quality humans that come here and hang out on the live streams and have been supporting this channel. And I am so, so grateful for all of you. I've learned so much from you this year. I've felt and experienced so much love from you this year. And yeah, I think we manifested the vision. And I think we're going to stay there. As I continue to expand, I'm going to start expanding into some different forms of content around what we currently do. And just going to stick with that mission. I think it's working for us. And I'm so happy to be here with you. I'm so happy to be here with you. Hey, Chief. Hey, Cynthia. Hi, Alicia. Alicia. I'm sorry, Alicia. That's why I need my glasses. Hi, Christopher. So, I did get with, there's only a small amount of us in here right now, but I'm still, I said still go for it. In order to keep that going, I did really have a conversation with moderators this week who have been doing an excellent job, but just to assure them that I wanted to make sure that things stayed really tight. Hi, Alex. Because as the channel continues to grow, and I hope it does, and I hope we find more cool star tribes, I want the live stream to be a place of learning and teaching. You all have really great conversations inside of the live. So we have enacted a no grace policy for certain circumstances within the live stream chat to keep the flow going, to keep the energy going. Thanks, Jim. Where we like it. Hey, Ice Wolf, I'm so glad you're here. And yeah, we just really want to stay we want to stay in alignment with our vision. So there has been a no grace policy enacted for the following. This one's very obvious. General trolls and attention vampires. Attention vampires, this is not where to seek adventure. And hijacking the chat. It's just, it just disrupts the community, so those comments will be sniped out immediately, and those viewers will be blocked from the channel. What else do we have here? Oh, this one's important. While this is a diverse space, that is the mission of this, and I, probably more than the next gal, love your ancient spell book. If you want to come here and you want to throw down on some hermeneutics, or you want to talk theology, this is a great space to do it. But what this is not a space for is any comments that are throwing around any level of condemnation, okay? We don't do conversion therapy around here. That's not the vision. That's not the vision of the Star Tribe. So, for example, comments like, get right with God, repent or die, tarot is the devil, those will immediately be snuffed out and taken out of the live stream comments. But what I do encourage you to do, and Skywitch does too, okay, Skywitch, is you are more than welcome to show up right in this space for an exorcism. The nuns and I would be happy to exorcise that demon right out of you, all right? Cause you're the devil in disguise. Oh, yes, you are. That's a good spin on that song. Anyone in need of immediate medical attention for mental health or physical reasons, you will not be blocked from the channel, but your comments will be deleted and you will be put in a 24-hour hold. And know, please know, from the bottom of my heart and the rest of the tribe, that that's the best way we can love you in the moment, okay? If you are having an emergency, a YouTube live stream is not the place to come for help, all right? We love you and we wish you the best. Seriously, okay? And let's see, I think there was some, yes, and lastly, I love a good comment. I love a good comment. I love a good compliment just as much as the next woman, okay? And I know that I can get sassy, and I know that I spend a lot of time curating this because I'm an artist. And this is part of my personal form of artistic expression. But that does not mean that I desire, number one, nor deserve vulgar, disrespectful comments. And so those will be sniped out immediately, as I am fortunate enough to have some very cool divine masculines that hang out in this tribe. Okay? And again, this is a judgment-free zone. So if you want to stick around and talk about it and dissect those beliefs as to why you think I dress like this because I want your attention, we can talk about it. We can talk about it. No judgment, okay? No judgment, but won't tolerate the disrespect. So those are the new guidelines for our live streams and video comments in order to create boundaries to stay within the vision and mission of our channel. All right? I love you all so much. I'm so grateful that you're here with us tonight. We're going to do things a little differently. We are going to read some tarot tonight for sure, but we're going to do things a little differently. We are going to talk about and channel and do tarot readings based off of different spiritual terms, okay? Different spiritual terms, different buzzwords. That's why I named the live stream Rebranding Your Personal Spirituality. There's a lot of, I feel like, buzzwords in spirituality and tarot. We're not even going to, hit all of them. We're going to channel them and do readings on them for the collective. And in the same time, I'm going to give you my definition and perspective of what that term means when you hear me say it when I'm doing a reading. And that's not for a buy-in either. And actually, the biggest reason why I want to do this tonight is so that the comments and the chat is open for discussion on these terms. You may not define these terms the same way, but just so you know where I'm coming from as you watch my tarot readings, and also too, right? It's just food for thought. If everyone's kind of talking amongst themselves about these terms and different aspects and perspectives, and I'm actually really looking forward to, after the live, going back and reading the live stream chat to kind of listen to your flow state of thought, all right, about some of these terms. But I do believe specifically there are a lot of terms that are good to be deconstructed and disgusted. I'm disgusted by some of these terms. Sometimes I am. But discussing these terms because they do get sensationalized. And for I know a lot of people that watch this channel and that have come to hang out with the Star Tribe are newer to maybe tarot and spirituality and all of those kind of things. So I think, you know, an open forum discussion on some of these terms would be a good idea. And I got the chance to brainstorm this week with Scorpio, which was fun, on kind of breaking some of these down. Now, we had a huge list. I don't think we're going to get through all of them tonight because I also want to do channel readings on all of this. So, but that's what we're going to do tonight. So we're going to kick it off a little different. We're going to kick it off a little different this evening. So let me get set up here. We're going to start off with the term soulmate. We are going to channel a message about soulmates. Ooh, the trolls are out tonight. See those? Do you see those moderators sniping that right out? Okay. So when you hear me use the term soulmate in a tarot reading, what I am referring to is the recognition of someone else's soul. The recognition of another person's soul, their divine essence, in their purest form. When we look at tarot, the Two of Cups is the card of the soulmate. In the traditional tarot deck, this card represents a soulmate of opposites. Why does it represent a soulmate of opposites? Because it's not about external recognition. It's not about recognition within personality or similar likes and identity and things like that. It's a recognition of another's soul. And a 2 in tarot is about choice. So a soulmate connection, a choice about a soulmate connection, about recognizing another's soul. All right. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm trying to keep my definitions really simple so y'all can discuss. But let's that's what we're going to do first here. We're going to channel a message about this soulmate situation we got going on here within the Star Tribe. Love it, Jennifer. I love that. I love that. Tell me about these soul connections within the Star Tribe, please. Oh. We have protection and trust. Let's break this down a little more. Tell me more about these. Tell me more about the protection of these soul's recognitions, please. The Two of Skulls, the decision. The Knight of Roses. The Page of Swords. Why the Knight of Cups? Why the Knight of Cups? The Chariot. By the way, I thought I'd break out the Grateful Dead deck to start this off with tonight. I feel like Uncle Deadly kind of channeled it for us by that artwork he created for the thumbnail. It was pretty fabulous. I'm looking at the Page of Skulls, which is the Page of Swords, the Two of Swords, the Chariot, and the Knight of Cups. Again, this is the decision, okay? This is research. This is the decision. This is looking. This is looking at the heart of the matter as the Knight of the Cups, looking at the heart of the matter. This is about reading energy. This part of this protection that they're telling me about is your ability to read energy, okay? Because this is an online space. But there's this ability among the star tribe to read energy. We're able to read energy to a soul's recognition, even for many of us that have not gotten the opportunity to meet in person at this time. Okay, and I love this with the journey card, right? Not only is this fast-moving energy, but it's Cancerian energy, and it's also a sign of divine protection. And with the black and white horse, they're talking to me about that they're saying that this card actually represents the vision that I just shared with you. That's why they threw this card out. The journey we're on together within this with this vision of creating a safe space of diverse community for those who are looking for soul recognition, those who have made a decision to look deeper as a soul recognition to find their tribe. Tell me more about this trust card. Tell me more about this trust card. 10 of Wands. Safe space. What's going on with words? A safe place to put down your burdens. The 9 of Swords and the 10 of Wands. And the 5 of Swords. And the 2 of Cups. We have the 2 of Cups again. Okay? A choice of a safe space to be able to trust that we can put down our burdens and come together and channel that energy instead into arts, education, focusing on these awesome forms of communication that we all have, which we have to put our burdens down to tap into that, right? And finding that 2 of Cups, that soul's recognition of safe people and safe spaces to do that. Okay, all right. The next one is the buzzword. It's one of the big buzzwords here in tarot land. Okay, and that's called the twin flame. It's actually a term that I avoid. I think I've used it twice. I think I've used it 2 times in readings. The reason why I avoid it is because there are so many definitions of it. And a lot of them are, I believe, very sensationalized. I believe that it creates clickbait titles for tarot. And I just think it can be very misleading. Now, we all define things differently. I understand that. My definition of a twin flame, if you've ever seen a reading, and I've talked about twin flame energy, is the mirror. It's a recognition of another soul that is a mirror. And it's a tricky mirror, typically. It's a very tricky mirror. Because usually that other person is mirroring all of the things about us that we don't want to look at, that we can't stand about ourselves. And so I personally would define twin flames as really soul recognitions that are some of our greatest learning lessons in life. Now, I've seen in tarot and in spirituality, twin flames being defined as half of a soul, like it's a person who's the other half of your soul. that you're supposed to come in union with, to have one soul. Look at Jimmy sniping out those comments. Thank you, brother. And I think that's dangerous. That term is dangerous and sensationalized in that way. To believe that we're waiting on someone else to recognize that they are half of our soul. That's not very empowering and tricky and ugly. And so I truthfully really avoid the term. And there's been a couple of times where it's come up in readings and like lessons around relationships, right? Things we learn from intimate partner relationships. I have used the term a few times. So that's my take on it. Doesn't mean that it needs to be your take on it, and you might know a lot more about it than I do, but it is one that I don't like to use because it has such a broad meaning. Meanings can be misconstrued very easily. So I have learned so much, Preacher of God, from your book. I probably know more about the Holy Bible than you do. I've read it in Greek. I've read it in Hebrew. I've read it in Latin. And I've read it in English. But no, Preacher of God, I don't believe in a Savior. I don't believe I need a Savior, nor do I believe that anyone else needs a Savior, or that I'm a Savior to anyone. What I do believe in, though, is the very clear concept in the Bible of the body of Christ. See, to me, the concept of the body of Christ is the same concept as collective consciousness. It takes all people and all parts and all journeys individually to make up the collective conscious, which, in my opinion, is God. So thanks for asking, Preacher of God. I do hang with Jesus all the time, though. He's in my band. I mean, you know, we hang out. We hang out. He's actually the one who told me to repent for all the missionary work I used to go do in other countries, thinking I'm some white savior and know how to, you know, tell other people how to live. So I'm real familiar with your books. I'm real familiar with your space. Just FYI. That's why I said, you want to come here and get down on some hermeneutics? I'm your girl. One of my favorite spell books. All right. So let's channel a message on the twin flame. What's going on in the Star Tribe's energy around the idea of a twin flame? Yo! Ha! Release. New moon. Give me one more on this. Release, new moon, divine masculine. Well, I was going to save the divine masculine and feminine for a little later, but let's just dive into that right now. Before I get into channeling into this message, again, if you watch this channel, you know that I do dive a lot into psychology And tarot is a beautiful teaching tool of psychology along with spirituality, okay? So when it comes to like divine masculine and feminine, I really, I look at the divine masculine and feminine as someone who has or who is working towards wholeness, who is working towards integration, complete integration of the dark, of the light, right? Of the devil on their shoulder, the angel on their shoulder. We can call it so many different things. The shadow, right? Their humanness and their divinity, okay? All of that. So that's how I define a divine masculine or a divine feminine when you hear me say that, when I talk about it in readings. That definition goes a lot deeper, so I'm sure there's a lot of cool things that y'all can add in the chat to that. Lisa Williams. Thank you, Lisa. Oh, you just made me think of my very dear friend. Thanks for that, actually. She's a Z Williams. Okay. All right. Releasing to new beginnings to a divine masculine. Let's see what this is about here. I like this. I like this. We want to stay in the Grateful Dead deck. Okay, what are we releasing here? What are we releasing about a twin flame? What are we releasing about a twin flame here? The Hanged Man. The blues. Singing the blues over someone and going in for a higher perspective. Going in for a higher perspective on that definition. The doorway. Oh boy. Somebody's calling judgment after going in for a higher perspective, releasing some energy with the Six of Roses, the Six of Cups. This is someone from your past. This is someone from your past that you believe to have been a twin flame, okay? But you went in for a higher perspective here. You went in for a higher perspective and chose to call judgment so that you could stand in that rainbow, all right, with your crown. Tell me more about this Six of Roses, please. The Nine of Skulls in reverse, representing the Nine of Swords in reverse. You're not losing sleep over this quote-unquote twin flame anymore. Dig that. Tell me about this new moon, this new beginnings, this new moon. This new moon bringing in a divine masculine energy. We have the Knight of Wands in reverse, the Two of Skulls. Why the Knight of Wands in reverse? Why the Knight of Wands in reverse? The Five of Wands. The King of Swords. Well, we're talking about this twin flame energy, so you know that they're going to try to show back up for a new beginning. Okay? Looking at a King of Swords energy with the Five of Bolts, the Knight of Bolts in reverse, and the Two of Skulls, meaning the Two of Swords. So, what this is telling me is there's a King of Swords, King of Skull energy that is going to try to come back in. They're going to come back in actually with very sexual energy that you are obviously going to put a kibosh to with the Knight of Bolts in reverse. Why? Because you realize that there's a whole lot of drama. You see all those bolts that are connected to this twin flames bolt, so to speak? All kinds of creatures there. All kinds of creatures exchanging energy there. All right. Oh, look. This King of Skulls here is digging his own damn grave. He knows it. This energy actually knows, thank you for correcting me on that. This energy actually knows that they approached you in the wrong energy. 7 of Swords. Why the 7 of Skulls? Oh, because they can't stop thinking about it. Okay, well. These are the lessons, though, okay? These are the lessons. The mirror. This isn't all on this King of Swords, right? When we get into these quote-unquote twin flame situations, which become great life lessons, both this King of Swords is reflecting on how they wrongly approached a situation with you, which is a lesson moving forward, and vice versa, also for you. With the 2 of Swords, making a decision to not, making a decision to have a little bit of energetic protection for self against that energy with the 7 of Bolts. This is the 7 of Wands. Okay. So, if this King of Swords is working on himself, then that does become, that is someone who is a divine masculine, so to speak, or a divine feminine. Doesn't necessarily mean they're a karmic. I don't think I put that on the list tonight, but that's another good one to talk about another time. What is the definition of a karmic? Tell me about this divine masculine card. Three of Roses. That's the 3 of Cups, baby. Celebration. Celebration with new energy. The Page of Swords. The 8 of Cups. Why the 8 of Cups? Why the 8 of Roses? The High Priestess in reverse. Okay, so what this spread is showing me is that, yes, there was a quote-unquote divine masculine that came towards a divine feminine with lots of sexual energy. Lots and lots of sexual energy. But there was a reason for that, because this divine feminine at the time was showing up as a high priestess in reverse. Okay? There was manipulation. There was just manipulation on both sides here. But both parties have walked away with the 8 of Cups. Both parties are reflective. Both parties are learning what they want. How do we know what we want if we don't experience what we don't want? You know what I'm saying? Ooh, Alley Cat, I love some good jazz. I love some good jazz. This space needs some jazz. 7 of Cups. Exactly what I just said. Right? Listen. All things are permissible, but not everything's beneficial. Sometimes we don't figure out what's beneficial for ourselves until we experience the things that are not. And it's all okay, right? Because we're on a journey. This is the journey. And it's a good journey. Lyndon, chosen one is on the list, so we're going to jump right to that next. Let's discuss the concept of the chosen ones, shall we? Now, if you watch this channel, and if you're new to this channel, welcome. And there are new people on this live stream that have not gotten to personally say hi to. Hi, Empress. Thank you for being here. I do not use the term chosen one or chosen 144 on this channel. I do not use that term because the root of that term is very Calvinistic in nature. It comes from a theological belief of Calvinism and has been rooted into other forms of religion and spirituality. The original definition is that there are 144,000 people on this planet that have been chosen, okay? They have been chosen for enlightenment. Now, with that being said, part of that definition is that the 144 don't actually know if they're chosen. Because if they knew they were chosen, they wouldn't help their fellow man. Okay? They would judge their fellow man. But my personal experience, and this is coming from very religious, culty kind of lens, okay, is that the ones that believe that they're chosen, really, they do. They believe that they're chosen, even though the chosen are not supposed to be quote unquote known. So it creates a hierarchy, okay? Creates spiritual narcissism in my book to believe that one person is chosen over another, okay? That a savior would choose some and not choose the other, which is actually completely opposite of the idea of collective consciousness. I personally believe in collective consciousness. And again, even though I create this channel as a space for all ideas, not just in spirituality and philosophy and psychology, you know, I want people to come here and work on their other forms of communication that are not verbal, but at the same time also engage in critical thinking. So I personally stay away from the concept of chosen one. Now, wasn't always like that for me. I didn't always stay away from that term. I may have not spoke it out loud, but I drank the Kool-Aid to it. And when I chose to dissect that belief, for me personally, I was like, this is complete spiritual narcissism. And makes so much sense why we see so much like hierarchy in religion and religious beliefs. Okay, so that's my take on the chosen one. Again, you probably have more to add to that. And I know too, the chosen one also gets used a lot in spirituality, like around the whole concept of like this, you know, star seeds and like being here from another galaxy and things like that. Knowing for me, knowing the root of chosen through religion and through ideas, Calvinistic ideas, I really, really stay clear of it. So you're not going to really hear that on this channel. I don't mind if you talk about it on this channel. I just hope people that use it are really dissecting it and explaining, if they do use it, what they use it for. Because anyone who has experienced some form of religious and spiritual abuse and control, which many people that come to this channel have, that's a very triggering term, okay? So I'm not going to channel a reading on that one, but it was on the list, so thanks for bringing it up. What else we got here? Okay. 5D communication, another one of those terms that a lot of readers use. A lot of readers use, a lot of people talk about, okay? And for me, I use it more from like the aspect of psychology than spirituality. That the 5D is heightened form of like telepathic communication and other forms of communication that can happen among humans that is not necessarily seen on a physical plane. So when I discuss 5D communication, and I do actually say 5D communication a lot on this channel because there's a lot of 5D communication that goes on within this star tribe, a lot. So there's definitely more of an expanded definition to that. And you know, I personally believe that we get to we get to 5D forms of communication by like clearing things energetically in our own space through introspection, through shadow work, through, you know, deconstructing beliefs and you know, doing the work, doing the growth work. So that is Sacred Noble Spirit. I'm glad you didn't know anything about that, but that is where that term comes from, at least in the Western world, actually in many parts of the world, that chosen 144. So when I talk about the 5D, I'm talking about the communication that's going on amongst this tribe. The telepathic communication that happens, the communication that happens in the dreamscape, any type of extrasensory, quote unquote, forms of communication that's happening here in the present, in the here and now, but is not necessarily seen, right, through verbal communication on the 3D plane. But that's a great term. That's a great term to discuss. There's a lot going on there with the idea of the 5D. So let's channel something on the 5D, shall we? Well, if we're going to talk about the 5D, I think we need to get out some witch decks, huh? We're going to talk about your magic. Jeez. Jimmy, what's going on tonight? You got to have that trigger finger, man. I see more deleted comments than readable comments. All right. What's going on? What's going on within the star tribe here? What's going on within the star tribe in this 5D communication? 33 is our, I don't know what, the threes are our number, it seems like. We always get 3 synchronicities around here. Oh, I love that. Thank you. The nuns are talking to me right now, just so you know. I got some nuns in my band. Consecrate tools, seeing beyond what is hidden. Seeing the things that are beyond what is hidden, what is beyond the tongue. Okay? Consecrate tools. I know I've referenced this many times on this channel. I've referenced the 13th century prophecy that verbal language doesn't cut it. It's not where it's at. Especially in us fully integrating and honestly understanding how effing fabulous we really are. And that we're creators. We are creators. Which is why sparking the imagination, being a muse for the imagination and creative energy is the vision of this channel, to get to those other forms of communication. Divination is one of those ways, and those consecration tools. Divination through the arts, divination through spell work, divination through your witchery. It's all art. It's all part of your masterpiece. And it evokes emotion. It evokes emotion. The emotions needed to get to those higher levels of communication. And here with the peppermint, take away from me what has been held back. Clear me of all of the things that don't belong so that I can see clearly and my visions come true. Well, that's what we do here, right? In this tribe together. When we focus and talk about healing and psychology, we're taking those things away that don't serve us so that we can come into this space of wholeness, into this space of integration, okay? So that we become magical AF. And are able to tap into, thanks Scorpio, I can hear you right now. Tap in and express these other forms of communication amongst each other. Because that's how powerful you really are. That's how sacred you really are. That's how divine you really are. That's how freaking magical we all are. And so this is a space, and tarot is a tool. It's a consecration tool, tool of divination, a tool of teaching, a tool of creativity, to open up the mind to those forms of communication. And, you know, I think we're doing a hell of a job around here, Star Tribe. I think we're doing a hell of a job together, having this safe space. Let's say the nuns want to get into the Beetlejuice deck. Don't you love that? Don't you love it when the nuns want to talk to the Beetlejuice deck? Tell us more about this taking away with the peppermint, this clearing of the air so that the vision of what's to come is clear for us. The High Priestess and the tool of speaking to the deceased. We have the handbook, y'all. Okay? We have the handbook right here. We got the handbook. Clearing out that energy to become the High Priestess. Three of Pentacles in community. Creative innovation. The Three of Pentacles is representative of innovation. Innovation between multiple minds, between community. You know, they're about to create their version of fine art there. For those of you that are familiar with the movie. Okay. Tell me more. Tell me more about this innovation and communication. The Four of Pentacles. A grounded and stable environment into which to do so. A place that feels safe. What more do you want us to know? What more do you want us to know about this vision, about these forms of communication? The Queen of Wands. I love the Queen of Wands. And the Hermit. We're all here sharing our sage wisdom. The Hermit's about the sage, right? The Hermit's about the inner sage. The Hermit is not about isolation and hiding away from the world, but going into a period of possibly isolation and hiding away from the rest of the world in order to gain that inner wisdom. There was a really powerful reading that I channeled. I think it was posted on Thursday about the wisdom of the dark night of the soul. Okay. going into hermitude because the world shrunk our heads. So we can get back into that inner wisdom, that inner sage, open up energetically again to become the Queen of Wands, to become that creator, to become creative, to create the masterpieces, to redefine language and redefine what it means to be an artist, broaden it, expand it, to become a creator, to become creative, as we all are. All right, let's talk about these consecrate tools. Seeing beyond the veil to the gifts of the tongue, beyond words. Talk to me about this communication that is beyond words, that is coming through forms of divination, forms of magic. King of Swords in reverse. The Nine of Wands. Eight of Swords. Okay, what I'm channeling, and I'll tell you right now, I love that I'm channeling this. Because for many of us, depending on, how we were nurtured, what we were told was the definition of love and belonging, what it meant to be saved, what it meant to be safe. The word divination can scare some people. In Latin, miracle is magic. It's performing magic. Divination is performing magic. Who can perform magic? A creator. Who's a creator? Anyone in a human body. Okay? And what they're showing me here with the King of Swords in reverse and the Eight of Swords is the Eight of Swords represents that it's that demon, it's that devil that sits on our shoulder that says, oh, you don't want to go there, or oh, that's bad, or someone told you, oh, that, you're going to open some kind of dark portal. So we're talking about magic and divination, right? The sandworm is going to show up if you read that book or, light that candle or hex that or, whatever. Okay? And it's that conflict as we deconstruct beliefs and things that we are fed, which is harder to do than it ever has been in this world because we are so now flooded with information, which is a beautiful thing, but it also can make things quite confusing. And someone here is looking for a new portal. They're looking for a new door. They're looking for a safe space where they can evoke this, where they can practice this, where they can get past some of their fears. You're in the right place, baby. You're in the right place. Fear holds us back from lots of things. Lots of things. Not just our magic. But we do get very wrapped up in, rather than dive into the imagination, into the portal of the imagination, to release some of these thoughts. you know, all of us can get caught up very easily in different forms of propaganda, superstition, rules and regulations as to what these tools are, which ones are good and bad, and you know, and that's part of the self-actualization, right? Getting down to what we've been told, and does it really resonate with us, and so we can be our most magical selves, all right? And this is the place to do it. Any final words on these gifts of communication? Ace of Cups, you have all of them. You have all of them. All of them. That's what the Ace of Cups represents. It's the connection to spirit. It's the connections in the 5D, connections to other worlds, connections with passed on loved ones, being able to communicate with other humans outside of verbal communication. And the world in this deck means the light is on and it's safe to go down that corridor of the mind and experiment and explore and free ourselves from those constructs of the mind, from those superstitions, from those dogmas. Cool, Star Child. Geez, moderators are working overtime tonight. I've barely been able to engage with you. Like when I look up, I don't actually see like a comment to read. Deleted comments. Okay. Higher self. What is the higher self? On this channel, when I reference the higher self, I'm referencing the Jung definition in psychology of the higher self, which is the archetype of wholeness. It's integration of the dark and the light, the humanity and the divinity, which is obtained through introspection, healing. Higher self, to me, at the end of the day, means to know thyself. So when we're having that internal dialogue with self, sometimes you hear people say, well, your higher self is speaking to you. If we seek wholeness and integration, we know the difference of those internal voices for those of us that have the capacity to do so, right? Like I know when my quote-unquote higher self is talking to me, my whole self, as opposed to a lower vibration of myself that might be beating myself up, right? Or operating out of fear, operating out of scarcity, things like that. The higher self, to know thyself, to me is the intuition. I know when my intuition is in gear. That's definitely a good one to discuss. There's a lot there. There's a lot in the spiritual community, different ways that people define the higher self. On this channel, I define it as integrated wholeness. And not a new concept. It's from Jung psychology. sometimes words like ascension, chosen, can get, right, intermingled with terms such as higher self, and then completely changes the context of the word or the perception of the word. Okay, let's channel something about this archetype of wholeness, this higher self. Divinity. Now, why would my guides give me the card of divinity? Because this is soul recognition, which is part of the archetype of wholeness. I express it, my guides express it, you know, as dark and light, as our divinity and as our humanity, and the integration of both. Not that we are divine after we ascend, but that we are always divine. And being a human is a piece of that divinity. It's the vessel in which we can create our masterpieces. Give me another one on this. Give me another one on the higher self, talking about the higher self. Safe travel. Oh, I heard that loud and clear. It is safe to call yourself a creator. If you call yourself a creator, if you know thyself and know that you are a creator, it does not mean that you are claiming you are God. It does not mean that you are like saying it in egoic fashion. And for those that would have that guilt association and that feeling, like, okay, so, I mean, your own book says it, okay? You will do greater things than the Savior. You will do greater things than the Savior. You will perform more miracles than the Savior, aka magic. All right? Miracles are magic, baby. There is nothing egoic about owning the fact that you are a creator. You are a creator in every sense of the word. Give me another one on this. That's hard. I get it. It took me a long time to get there myself. Lots of deconstructing. Key. The key, the talisman to you being a creator is being a human. On planet Earth, baby. It's your Earth energy. Your Earth energy is the key to your creations. Being grounded in your human form. And knowing how effing fabulous you are. Okay? There's nothing egoic about that. Think about the human body. Think about how amazing the human body is and the things we can do with our mind and with our body. It's amazing. It's mind-blowing. This is coming from somebody's guides. Somebody's been wrestling with this concept. I'm channeling the energy of someone who's been wrestling with this concept as they're like, putting their toes in the water of spirituality. And I'm not going to give you an opinion about it either way, except, to tell you that this is a safe space to work it out, to talk about it, to have questions answered and not get attacked, to be able to have open conversation and not feel like you're being judged. Optimistic, thank you. I have lots of hair, as you can see. I like to keep my hair long and I don't like to lighten it, but I like fun colors. So, again, this is part of my artistry. This is part of my being a creator. It's not for everyone, but it is for me. Cristobal, what's up? I just saw your name. Hello. What up, invaders? Yes, I have looked at Carl Jung's work on synchronization. I'm a fan of Jung. I was a psychology student. And I've always just dug psychology and philosophy and religious studies, and I personally resonate with Jung in my journey of quote unquote self-actualization and knowing thyself. Full moon. Oh, okay. So some of you also, what they're telling me is some of you are curious about moon cycles. You're curious about moon cycles. You're curious about divination around moon cycles, but you might be a little scared to ask. You might feel that you don't have the proper information, or it's just new. It's a new wheelhouse for you. And again, thank you. I can't see who gave me that super thanks, but thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I meant to say that earlier when I was talking about the moderators. So thank you. All super thanks. Thank you. After YouTube takes their ridiculous cut, all the super funds will be used from here on out to acknowledge the moderators that work hard to keep this space the way we so want it. So thank you. Yes, telepathic communication got me in a lot of trouble as a kid. You are right on about that. You are so right about that. My intuition did too. I was constantly getting gaslighted out of it. Especially, I hate to use this term, but it's just, but, being raised by baby boomers that very much were like, kids don't have a say, kids don't have an opinion, sit down and shut the F up kind of thing, was always gaslighted out of my intuition and my telepathic abilities, and my mediumship abilities too also as a child were always getting me in trouble, and I was getting gaslighted out of them. Thanks, Timothy. I love the Muppets. Perfect example of creating your own creative brand of spirituality. I'm sure many of you that watch this channel and watch other tarot channels know that I do have a bit of a heart for hoodoo, okay, and voodoo because of my very strong Catholic roots and some things on the maternal side of my family. So a divination tool in hoodoo are spirit dolls that contain spirit guides. And I personally use stuffed animals, just as I did as a child, because that's what my intuition told me to do as a child. So we have Kermit, and of course Gizmo's always here too. Gizmo's been very distracted. I'm so sorry. Gizmo has been very distracted all day because I put the photo of Cassandra Peterson back up, and he's absolutely obsessed with it at the moment. And so he's not really participating on the live too much tonight. But that's okay, because I took a couple of notes right before I jumped on here that we're going to dive into the devil card and devil energy a little bit, and talk about Gizmo's obsession with Cassandra Peterson's breasts. He says it's okay, though, because they personally know each other. Discuss. Crooks, I love that. That's what the nuns used to say to me, right? I was the why kid. Why? Because that's the way it is. They do talk to me differently now, though. My ancestors that are nuns that are passed over, they have a different perspective on things now. All right. Okay. We're going to do a few more. Are you into that? You want to hang out? So I say, oh, glad the crisis was averted. So sorry to hear that. Yeah, dungeon. I think for me that's the term of where those forms of communication hang out, right? Is in the other D's. I don't get too technical on the D's, but as a stickler as I can be for language. The death card. Okay. All right, that's where you want me to go next. Okay. And I did write a note about that. Was in my thoughts as I was journaling this morning and getting some thoughts out. Mainly reflecting on how grateful I am for all of you and the anniversary, the 1-year anniversary of this channel. And this was brought up on Thursday. I channeled a message about this on Thursday. We're going to talk about the death card for a minute. We're going to talk about the idea of the death card and the idea of a dark night of the soul. Again, other spiritual messengers, other practitioners may define it a little differently than I choose to define it. But to me, a dark night of the soul is rock bottom. It's absolute rock bottom. And a person tends to go through a dark night of the soul when the universe comes in and whoops their ass. When nature comes in and whoops their ass. When so many things that are out of our control spiral out of control. And also, a dark night of the soul, I believe, can be ignited by forms of self-sabotaging behavior. Quote unquote devil energy in tarot. Okay. That's what will spark a dark night of the soul. When nature either comes in and kicks our ass, or our lack of nurturing ourself. And when I say nature in this term, I'm talking about Mother Nature. Or when a lack of nurturing ourselves comes in and kicks our ass. Right? So a dark night of the soul are like the top stressors of a human, right? Disease, loss of homes, loss of security, death, addictions, like all those big things. When they come crumbling all down at once and leave us in a dark hole. That's what will spark a dark night of the soul in a human, representative of the death card in tarot. But what the essence of the dark night of the soul is one's choice to, in that space, reach for higher self, meaning full integration. Full integration of their dark, of their light, of their personal heaven and personal hell, right? Their humanity, their divinity, wrestling with all of those things, which one does when life kicks their ass. When we lose loved ones unexpectedly, when we have major tragedy, when we experience such grotesque trauma, the hands of other humans, things like that will throw people into a dark night of the soul where they just question everything. We start to question everything. And the process of the dark night of the soul is being willing to go into that pain, being able to go into that pain to find the root of all those things and process them and deconstruct and rebuild. And if this is sparking something in you and you resonate with it, I do suggest you watch the last reading that I channeled, because it was all about this. So what do you want to... I wasn't going to talk about this because we just channeled this a couple days ago, but obviously you want to talk about it. So tell me what more you want us to know about this dark night of the soul. Grab a tarot deck. Okay. What do you want to talk about someone who may be experiencing a dark night of the soul? There is someone who actually reconstructed all of their spiritual beliefs during a dark night of the soul, is the energy that I'm channeling right now. The Nine of Wands, the Magician in reverse, and the Hierophant. And one of the major revelations that you came to in this deconstruction, which is not what triggered the dark night of the soul, but at some point as you were going down to the rabbit hole, you got to this, you got to this stuff came up. And a major realization that you had is actually these beliefs, these false spiritual and or religious beliefs was blocking you from transforming into a Ten of Pentacles life. Abundance, generosity. Someone let go of the concept of martyrism. Tell me more about this Ten of Pentacles for someone who is coming out of or is currently experiencing a dark night of the soul, because that's the light. That's going to be the beacon of light if you're doing the work. The mind is free. to manifest. Ace of Wands. Well, how beautiful is that? Passionate new beginning after such a dark time. Ace of Pentacles and an Ace of Wands. Wow. And the Moon. Someone had a, someone had some spiritual or religious beliefs that were covered here. No, okay, thank you. Had some spiritual or religious beliefs that were shrouded under the moon as to how abundant that you really are, because I'm looking at all these aces and a 10 of Pentacles. Tell me more about what was discovered behind this moon in this dark night of the soul. Strength. I love it when the Strength card comes out when we're talking about the dark night of the soul, because it's strength against all adversity. Absolute all adversity. Okay? They're talking about Nacho Libre. Now there, for any of you who have not seen that movie, please watch it, because it's fabulous. The main character in Nacho Libre had this greatness in him that was suppressed by dogmatic belief, by cultural beliefs, by religious beliefs that were also deeply infused in the culture in which he grew up in. He had this burning desire to be a luchador, but his culture, his religion said, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's not what we do around here. And he decided to do it anyways. And it led to a 10 of Pentacles. A 10 of Pentacles for him, a 10 of Pentacles for his community, a 10 of Pentacles for his loved ones. By him pursuing his passion and his fire, despite what everyone else had taught him, whatever their superstitions were or whatever they believed, he created a beautiful life for himself and those around him by putting on his stretchy pants and wrestling, for anyone who's seen that movie. It's fabulous. And I like humor. That's the example that they're giving me. But while someone was in a dark night of the soul, they stayed in the hole to start to deconstruct all of these things and realize where so much of how they had been nurtured by culture, by the world, was actually holding them back from complete abundance. Anything more you want to tell us about the luchadors hanging out here tonight? Anything more you want to tell us about the luchadors? The Hanged Man in the Tower. Yeah, you just did the work. You went in for the higher perspective. Complete tower of the mind. Made a decision to follow your heart. Someone made a decision to follow their heart here. I love this. Who made a decision to follow their heart after a dark night of the soul? I'm like, man, the Lovers, the Hangman, the Tower, and the Lovers. Someone made a decision to go after their best life after a dark night of the soul. And we are here, all here to congratulate you. To congratulate you and support you on that journey as best as we possibly can. Because this is killer energy. I can't wipe the smile off of my face. Because sometimes adults will hang out in their room and get weird and put on wigs and wear stretchy pants. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't seen Nacho Libre, you won't. But all right. What other ones did we have here? Okay. Let's talk about devil energy real quick. Okay, this one I definitely want to talk about. In tarot, obviously, you know, most people identify the word the devil with the Christian definition and the Christian archetype of what the devil is, okay? There is a Christian archetype of the devil. I'm not going to do a deep dive into it tonight. It's very interesting to study the origins of the concept of the devil, for sure. But when it comes to tarot, when we talk about the devil in tarot, we're talking about earth energy. We're talking about earth energy, and we're talking about bondage. We're talking about the things that keep us bound in restriction and a slave to the human form, to not be fully integrated. It can be obsessions, addictions, codependency. The list goes on and on and on and on. But then there's also this other side to the devil energy, because it is earth energy, and that is, and you'll see, like in tarot, oh, I'm not supposed to show that card, whatever. In some tarot cards, the chains are not attached. Depends on the interpretation of the artwork. Okay, the chains are not attached to that earth energy of the devil, because the other side of that energy, of course, is the get it done energy. It's the action energy. It's the vehicle of the body. It's the vehicle of the mind, in manifestation and getting ish done. Creating stuff. Being the creator. We could not be creators without that earth energy, without that quote unquote devil energy. Now this is really basic. We could do a whole live just on archetypes of the devil and devil energy. But as far as how it is generally referenced in tarot is, yeah. It's almost even like, sometimes I use the transferable skill. It's, you know, the devil energy, it's a double side of a coin like anything else. And which way are you going to channel that energy? Like Giz. on a very important live of our first year anniversary, he is not channeling his energy into scrying for us as he normally does. Okay? Because he's obsessively staring at Cassandra Peterson's photo. So which way do you want to do the energy? Right? I'm not going to say that. I'll get in trouble for saying that. Anyways, so, devil energy is not a bad thing. Everyone immediately associates the term devil with something bad. In tarot, it can go both ways. It depends on the interpretation of the artwork. It depends on what cards fall around it, so on and so forth. I'm sure Jimmy, if he's not having to snipe a million comments, could definitely pop in some very good words of wisdom about that as far as in tarot land. All right. Yeah. So let's do a quick channel. Let's see where the devil energy is within the Star Tribe. Let's see where the devil energy is hanging out within the Star Tribe. Oh, quick fact. Since it is our 1-year anniversary, one of the questions I get most on this channel, and that I get obsessive emails about, is whether I'm Christian or Satanist. Which one am I? Which camp am I in? Because everybody's got to be in a camp. Everybody's got to subscribe to something. I'm not in either camp. Neither. But I dig religious studies. So I have studied the Satanic Bible just as thoroughly as I have studied the Holy Bible. And I believe both of them have wisdom in them. Christopher Council, thank you. I am going to write that down, Christopher. I'm not going to get to probably touch on that tonight, but those are good ones. Thank you for saying that. Sorry, y'all, real quick. Let me write that down, the hero's journey. And Zodiac. I can speak on the Zodiac in reference to tarot. I'm definitely not an astrologer. This is not my wheelhouse. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I pull from all forms of things. I reference all kinds of different spiritual philosophies and texts. So, but I find it interesting. I have in a year easily have received well over 100 emails, point blank asking whether I am Christian or whether I am a Satanist. Neither. But I do believe that I'm a divine being in a human body. So, I think there's wisdom in both texts. I don't agree with all of it. But there's some wisdom to glean there. There's some wisdom to glean there. Let's talk about this devil energy. Let's talk about this devil energy. What's up with the devil energy and within the Star Tribe? What's the gratitude. Tell me more about the devil energy here. Focus. Ooh, who's getting some ish done right now with their devil energy? Gratitude and focus? Who's getting some ish done right now? Somebody's working that devil energy right now to manifest. Tell me more. Tell me more about this devil energy. Courage. Wow. This is the other side of the coin of devil energy and tarot. that we were discussing, and transformation. Definitely channeling some energy too of some people that have like overcome addictions. They've transmuted that energy. They're channeling it in a different direction, doing it through, through different forms of gratitude, through some different forms of divination and gratitude and affirmations and mirror magic. Bad ass. I love it. I love it. Good stuff, Star Child. I dig this. This is what it's about. This is what that earth energy is good for. Tell me more. I used to be the queen of self-sabotage. This is good. This is good. This is good. Ooh, jealousy. Message of jealousy. You're also transmuting other people's bullshit like a boss right into your devil energy. You're taking the devil energy that's being projected at you, the jealousy, the codependency, the emotional immaturity, and you're transmuting it like a boss. You're eating hexes for breakfast here to get ish done. That's badass. There's some beautiful exits happening here from Dark Night of the Souls. And that message I channeled on Thursday, I was like, it just blew my mind because it felt very specific to one energy. It was so, so powerful. So, so powerful, the energy of people coming out of a dark night of the soul. And when I read the over 350 comments on that reading of all the people that resonated with that reading, I bawled tears of joy. Absolute tears of joy. Of how many of you have had the guts to not use your devil energy in ways of escapism, in ways to stay in archetypes of the wounded warrior, of the victim, but instead, despite anything that has happened, whether it was Mother Nature kicking your ass, or whether it was you kicking your own ass through self-sabotaging behavior, that you chose to integrate into wholeness during that time, which is not for the weak because it's deconstructing everything. It is a tower on another level. It's the tower card that never happens again, because when the tower falls, you choose to build such a strong foundation within self that nothing Mother Nature could ever throw at you would put you back in that place again. And to all of you who have been here for the past year, I'm so grateful to know and to be encouraged by so many beautiful people. And as we continue to grow, and new people that come in that get to also experience your energy the way that I did. Because the execution of this channel was the beacon of light, was the tiny bit of light I could see as I started to exit a dark night of the soul. And being around so many bomb-ass people such as yourself motivated me to keep doing this and you loved me through it and supported me. And that's what we're here for. This is a safe space of diverse people to not be judged as they go through the processes of self-actualization. Because they want to raise the vibration of the collective consciousness. I'm so grateful for all of you. And I'm so grateful what we've manifested here this past year. Yeah, breaking ancestral curses. I use that term, Pamela, for sure. Because it's a lot of that programming, you know? I love that butterfly card too. This is, you know, all of the butterfly cards. Integration of wholeness into wholeness, transformation, and to find a space where there is love and belonging as we're all just trying to work shit out, okay? I'm grateful for all of you and your badass forms of communication. I have never, and many of us, I know that we've spoken about this, many, thank you so much for your super thanks. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know, we've channeled many things on this channel over the past year and have had many discussions about how many of us have had these knowings, right, of these alternative forms of communication that we have that are well beyond the limits of verbal communication. And I don't know about you, but for me, meeting you all and collectively diving into this star tribe has been the first supportive space I have been in for those expansions, for the expansion of those gifts. And I've done spirituality. I've done spirituality, not just religion, you know. But there was still a lot of dogma around it, you know. And I felt like I wasn't doing things right, or this is the only way to get there, and I must not be ascended. I must not be chosen. All of that garbage, okay? We're all creators. We're all creators. And we're all artists. We're all artists. You are your masterpiece. And I am here and will continue to be here to cheer you on as we all experiment with what that means. Today's your Earth birthday, Julie. Happy birthday. How cool is that? How cool is that? I can't guarantee, well, it doesn't even matter either way, but I can't guarantee if today was the actual start date of the channel, as the report from Uncle Deadly did say something different, but I remember starting it around this time, and I was coming out of a dark night of the soul, so my timeline might be a little off because I was in like a lot of weird spaces when I started this channel, so I designated that today's the day. I did start somewhere in March of last year. So, Julie, we're making it your birthday. Yes to luchadors. Oh, we need a luchador mask in here, actually, because that is one of my favorite movies. My childlike brain loves that movie. Loves it. Yeah. Lisa, I think words are the strongest spells, personally. Words are violence. Hi. You let me go a little longer than usual. Do you want to say hi to everyone for the birthday party? Okay. Sky Witch says she's grateful for you too and thankful that you're here. She works hard around here, my little familiar here. You know, keeping those monitoring spirits out. All right, y'all. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for everything. I'm excited to continue to grow with you. I'm excited to start dropping some expansion, okay? We're going to work on some, we get some different content coming, expanding to some other platforms too, where we can get a little, you know, a little more real and a little less censored. So looking forward to that too. Life's a garden, dig it. Is that Napoleon Dynamite? What is that? Where is that one from? That's a good line, and it's familiar in my brain. Life's a garden, dig it. Was that Napoleon Dynamite? Oh, Joe Dirt. Oh, I haven't seen that one in a long time. The Tale of Joe Dirt. Yes. Oh, I'm going to have to watch that one. Oh, I'm definitely going to have to watch that one. It's been a long time since I've seen that one. That's a good one. That's a good one. Zoolander is also one of my personal favorites, but it is because I'm a fan of fashion, and you know David Bowie is in it. By the way, last thing I'll leave you with. Okay, I will. I'll explain that, and then we'll get out of here. So, I also get lots of inquiries via email and otherwise. And when I say inquiries, like people that really put a large amount of thought into emails, like writing like 10 pages about the concept of star child and star seeds and planetary alignments and galaxies and all this kind of stuff, and geomaps and all these things. And I'm so grateful that you would put that much thought into it, and meaning and research, and want to have a very deep discussion about the term star child. I'll be completely honest with you though. This is where Star Child came from, and Star Tribe. Why I address you as Star Child every time I turn on that camera to channel you a tarot reading. Is I was in, you know, a state of altered consciousness, nothing crazy, just some transcendental meditation, all right? And I was having a conversation with David Bowie. And I said, "What do you think, man? How do you think I should address these people that come hang out backstage in the dressing room with me?" And he said, "Well, Star Child, of course. You need to call him Star Child. This is your moon age daydream, baby." So that's where the term Star Child comes from. Just FYI. Oh. I know, we get deep around here and we get silly. And I know it confuses people sometimes, but that one wasn't that deep. In the sense of it does not really have anything to do with the star seed concept. You know, I don't even know a ton about that stuff. Do I believe in other life forms? Yes, but I just don't. I haven't done some massive deep dive into those kind of things, so it doesn't have anything to do with why I address you as Star Child and why I call us the Star Tribe. It's more because I think you're MFing magical and that you are a rock star, okay? What's up, invaders? Is the devil similar or related to shadow work? Well, behavioral patterns that can be self-sabotaging can be related to shadow work. We tend to lean into self-sabotaging and behaviors of escapism as a avoidance of the shadow, meaning the things that we don't like about ourselves, the feelings that we don't want to feel, those places that we don't want to go in us. So shadow work is the facing of that, facing those things that would actually push us into self-sabotaging behavior, or push us into destruction, or push us into forms of escapism, to not deal with our feelings. And there's usually like some kind of core belief behind that feeling. And so shadow work is how I do shadow work with people is kind of it's like a series of motivational interviewing techniques, so to speak. That's like kind of a psychology term for people to get down to the root of what that is. It's kind of like in, for instance, like in like things like AA and NA, a real famous line in their Bible is, alcohol and drug addiction is only a symptom of an underlying problem. There's a root. There's a root to why we would fall into addiction or forms of escapism or codependency, any kind of behavior like that. There's a belief. There's a belief about ourselves within that causes an avoidance of facing it, which then in return will like spiral into other behaviors. So we're, when we talk about shadow work, we talk about looking at those, just diving into those things that we really don't like about ourselves, and owning it and being like, this is all part of me. This is me. I am going to maybe deconstruct this belief because I don't want to act like this anymore, but this is me. And we discover some really cool things about ourselves when we do this work. It's not all like negative and bad. Like a lot of people discover things that they have repressed about themselves because they were told it was bad, but it's not really bad. It's something that they love or something that speaks to their heart. There's a lot of really beautiful things that come about in the integration of shadow work, and I apologize, I am starving, so I'm probably not being the most articulate about it at the moment. But yeah, it's a concept that started with Carl Jung, the work of the shadow. It's been expanded in therapy and other things, other modalities, things that you probably or maybe have heard of, like IFS, internal family systems, all that kind of stuff. I like to keep it simple in a lot of ways, and I think Carl Jung did a good job of that. So, yeah. Great questions. I actually just got a professional Zoom account. Thank you. With your help and support from the channel. so that we can do some stuff on Zoom too. Because, like, I don't know, I want to hear other voices. I want it to be a bit more interactive, you know, rather than I feel like I know you all are hanging out in the chat together, but I feel like a lot of times I'm just answering questions, and I want to hear more from you. Forge, there are how many religions? I know, Bunny, but that's so Western culture too, right? Like, and I am located in America, so it's right. It's God or Satan. Like, I get a lot of that, and I probably get a lot of that too because I do live in San Francisco. Okay, so San Francisco is the home of the creator of the religion of Satanism in the Western world. Okay. I also talk a lot about my drinking the Kool-Aid with modern day non-denominational Christianity and my childhood as being Catholic. So I guess that becomes an assumption. I don't know. But yeah, there are no two. It's not, that seems to be the big polarized, right? Yeah. It's very narrow-minded, but yeah. That is always the question. I've never been asked if I'm a Buddhist, if I'm Taoist, if I'm Hindu. I've been asked, are you a Christian or are you a Satanist, lady? Oh, yeah. You know. I probably talk a little bit too much about the love of the human body and body positivity to not be considered a quote unquote Satanist by a Christian. Devils and angels, saints and sinners, right? God or the devil. If y'all are interested in topics like that too, I would definitely suggest. Why am I drawing a blank again? Because I'm hungry, and I know you want to go for a walk, so I'm taking off after this. What is that channel? I've posted him on the community page before. Oh, he does the Neo Genesis stuff. Why is his name slipping me right now? Damn it. Does anyone know who I'm talking about? Damn it. Anyways, he has a good page. He does a lot of diving into different spiritual texts. Man, I can't think of his name right now. Anyways. And he started this thing called Neo Genesis. Oh, I hate that. I'm drawing a blank right now, but there must be a reason for that. So, anyways, I've shared his stuff sometimes in the community tab. I just like it. I like it because it's an open forum of discussion of religious texts and mythology and how it's all like how the stories have synchronicities and are interconnected and all of that stuff. So it's good. It's good. And it's non-biased for the most part, which I like too. So along the shore, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. All right, y'all. We're going to sign off. Sky's been very patient. I'm over my 90 minutes. And it's been so fun hanging out with you. And I'm so excited that we get to do another year together and beyond. So thank you for everything. And I will see you next time.